In Texas, even misdemeanor drug charges are taken very seriously, especially in our state's more conservative counties. Most of the time, a misdemeanor drug charge results from our client being found in possession of marijuana or prescription medications that they don't have a prescription for. First, in any drug case, what we're looking at is whether or not the law enforcement officer who found the drugs stopped our client, detained our client legally, and searched them legally. 99% of the time, drug charges result from a traffic stop. They originate with a traffic stop. Our client was pulled over while driving their vehicle for some reason. The first thing we're going to look for is if the officer claimed that they pulled our client over for a specific traffic violation, we're going to double check that the evidence supports our client having committed that traffic violation. So, for instance, if the officer says that they pulled our client over for not using their turn signal, but then we go back and we watch the dashboard camera from the cop car as they were pulling our client over, and our client is shown to have been using their turn signal, now we can file a motion to suppress all the evidence that was collected subsequent to that traffic stop because the officer did not pull over our client for a legitimate reason. We will continue that until we have looked through every piece of evidence and determined that there is no other reason that we will likely succeed at getting the case dismissed for suppression of evidence. Assuming that the stop was legitimate and that the search was legitimate and that our client was found to actually be in possession of an illegal substance at a misdemeanor level, then we pivot and we begin plea bargain negotiations with the prosecutor's office. And what I can tell you is that based on the relationships we've built with the prosecutor's office in the counties that we operate out of, if this is your first offense, your first run-in with the police, the first time you've been caught with a misdemeanor amount of drugs, generally speaking, we can avoid a final conviction on your record simply through diligent negotiations with the prosecutor's office. Now, that may result in you having to do some minor probation, submitting to random UAs, urine analysis tests, drug tests, a small fine, but ultimately our goal is to keep your record clean from convictions and to keep you from having to do any jail time for a misdemeanor. And if this is your first offense, I feel very confident that we'll be able to get you those kinds of results.